This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, the Game Boy Geek here. Hey, today is going to be all about dreams. No, not you. Don't go to sleep. Don't have a dream. We're going to be talking about being in dreams and trying to give information without talking, but through dreams to other people in this sort of abstracted context. We're talking about the Ravens of Thri Sahashri. This is a little two-player cooperative game, just recently reprinted by Osprey Games. Very unique theme where someone was being rescued by a woman was being rescued by a man in Japan, and as they were getting out, the person that was helping them got killed, and she was so distraught she went into a coma, and you're trying to bring her back and helping her relive her memories through dreams. Very interesting theme. Let me show you how it plays. I'm not going to show you every rule because there's a lot to this game. I'll give you a high-level overview, and I'll see you on the other side. Now the game is played over 3 rounds known as Dreams. One player will be Ren, and she is going to each round get 4 cards put up in front of her just like that. Each one of those is a line of a poem, so there's 4 lines. The other player is Feth, and he is going to be placing cards out, pressing his luck, and adding cards to the middle to allow Ren to take for the poem. Now Ren is trying to add once per round. She will add a card here. These won't be revealed to Feth, and the poem needs to be 7 lines. You need to start at the front, the top, and she's trying to get the cards that get added to here plus the one that's under here added to 7. Once that's done, she can move to the next line of the poem. The first 3 lines are going to be 7, and the last line is going to be 5. It is a Japanese folk song poem. Now, these cards here won't get flipped until later, until certain things happen, but that's what Ren's trying to do, is trying to get the numbers to add. Now there's multiple colors in the game, and the numbers range from 1 to 5. So what Feth is trying to do is press his luck and give Ren the most opportunity to, get the poem finished. So he's trying to allow her to have a lot of different numbers and colors and ranges. And so he can place out as many cards as he wants. If ever he runs out of cards, the game's over. Also, if ever he is not able to add a card to the Atman, the game is over. So he will press his luck trying to get a bunch of different things to be able to push and play into the middle. And then let's just say he stops here, and he has a bunch of cards here to place. So let's say Ren first places this card in the middle. Now, this is called the Atman, and after that, every card that's placed in the Atman has to touch. These are faded memories that you're trying to help her relive, and you're trying to get them to match. So you have to have at least one spot that matches, so that's faded. So that would be a good spot. I couldn't put it here because this is faded and this is unfaded, so it's a little puzzly as to how you gotta do it. I couldn't even do this because they're both unfaded. You have to have at least one faded, and everything else has to sort of match. So I could place this one on here because it's faded matches faded and unfaded matches unfaded, so I could place that there, and I could actually even do something like this because I have faded over faded and unfaded over unfaded. So I've been able to add all the cards there. So Ren will look at these cards and she will take one of them, and let's just say she takes this one. She will add it to her top line of the poem that is not completed. So here she has added the card here. Now, if this card was the same color as this, she would flip this up. But that's actually a bad thing to flip it up in that way. I'll show you the way that you're really supposed to flip these up to give you points at the end of the, give you points towards the end. But what she's telling you here is that you know that this card is not gold. And we also know that this is not a 5, because if this was a 5 plus 2 is 7, she would at that point say this line of the poem is finished, and she wouldn't flip this, but she would just tell me the poem's finished. So I know it's not a 5, and I know it's not gold, and then my next turn would happen. Now since we used all the cards last time, there's none here, but there were some from last round. They would stay here, and this would change how many cards that Feth wants to reveal. So let's say he starts going, he wants some more cards, he gets these 2, he decides to keep pressing his luck, and he gets a Raven. Ravens are sort of special cards. Whenever he decides to stop adding cards to the row, the Raven comes down here. Now, this is called the Raven row, and this is sort of the memory row. Now, on the Raven row, this is known as a safe spot. Normally what happens is anytime a red card now has to get discarded, instead of it getting discarded to a discard pile, it goes underneath this raven. It's in danger of being taken completely out of the game, leaving us less cards to deal with for the rest of the game. However, if any card here, if this was a red card, it needed to be discarded, it's safe. Any cards over the raven row are safe. Also, if this was a raven, it wouldn't get added here because it's in the safe row. But if a raven was here, it would then come here now that you have 2 of a safe row. So the more dangerous it gets, also the more safe it gets too. But at any time you get all 5 ravens out here, the game automatically loses for you. So let's say we have that. That's kind of explaining what ravens do. But let's say he's going to put these 2 in the Atman. Now, again, you have to add at least 1 to the Atman or the game is over and you've lost. But you can add as many as you want. Now, anytime you add the same color all on top of each other with no other colors in between the cards, and they add exactly up to 7, this is called reliving a memory and a few things happen. First of all, since we did that with the blue color, if there was a blue raven on the raven row, it would get scared away, it would go out, and all the cards that it was stealing, possibly stealing for the rest of the game, just go to the discard pile. So essentially you would have saved the cards underneath that color's raven. Also, Ren can look at her cards. She can always look at these at any time anyways, and she would flip over any one that's blue. If she has more than one that's blue, she just selects one. So she can flip this over because it's blue. This tells us a lot about the information on that card, but it also will help us towards the end of the game because these will be used in the last final round. It's then Ren's turn. She takes this card, she puts it here. Now what does this tell us? She doesn't flip this, which now we know this card is not gold and it's not blue. But she also says the poem of this line is complete. She doesn't flip this over, but we know this has to equal 7. 4, 5, 6. We know that this card is a 1, and it's not a blue, and it's not a gold. Now on the next turn, Ren's going to do his turn like normal, but now, Feth is going to do his turn like normal, but now Ren is working on this poem, trying to get this to 7. And you would continue doing this until that's 7, and then that's 7, and then the last one is 5. This one is already 5. So in that rare case, when you get here, you actually would be done with this poem. Now once you've finished it, the round's either going to end or you're going to have to keep going. It ends if all the colors in the Atman are part of her heart, which means we have blue and red here. If we already know she has a blue in her heart, if there's at least one red in one of these, she'd say, yep, all these match my heart, and the round is over. If she says, no, the round's not over, then that means since we already know we have a blue, we know that red is not in her heart. We're going to have to try to get rid of those cards because only the colors of her heart can be here. They could have all been blue, and that's fine. As long as there's no colors here that aren't in there, then things are okay. Now also, when it's Ren's turn, and she decides to take a card, if she can add it to her next poem line, she can. If she cannot, she can always discard this card out, and this can give information as to which color she might want being gone and things like that. Also, at any time, if she takes a card that splits the Atman, meaning it will end up being split into two separate or more than one, she will end up telling which side goes completely out of the game, and this can strategically help in trying to get rid of colors that you don't want, because at the end of the round, you can only have colors here that are in her heart. So there's a lot more strategy to Ren's #1 card that she takes every time than meets the eye. However, if all the colors here were in her heart, the round would end. This card would get put to the side under this card here. This we would use for later. I'll tell you what that does. All the other ones get discarded, keeping the rule that if any of them were red in this case, they would go under the raven, and they would basically be eaten and out of the game for the rest of the game. Another thing I didn't mention is once cards are in the line of a poem, these special abilities can be used. Now, Feth can use any of the abilities, and Ren can use 2 of the colors. And we'll go through this one. Says discard 1 card from the Atman, or 1 card under the next card placed counts as the same color. So you could do that, trying to get another color to have a relived memory a lot easier. That's really powerful. Return 3 discarded cards to the top of the deck in any order. So a lot of these gives interesting special abilities, and Ren might be looking at these, deciding which card to end up putting in her row in the first place. But anyway, special abilities is a big part of the game as well. Now you would go through this again a second time. Once you go through it the second time, you're in the final round of the game. In this game, the final round, every line has to get completed in 1 turn. You have to finish this in 1 turn, this in 1 turn, this in 1 turn, and this in 1 turn. So 4 turns to finish the last round, or you lose. How do you do that? Well, all those cards that we showed you that got flipped up by the reliving the memory, which is very powerful and she keeps, she can use these in addition to the 1 card that she places. So you're going to need a lot of these cards to try to make your life easier to help win the game, because it's very hard to win. Now, if you're able to win, you take this envelope number 1, you read it, it adds to the story and adds some rules that make the game harder, and so on and so forth. If you finish it on that level, there's a new envelope. It's sort of like a little legacy thing where it adds rules to the game to make the game harder, but it's already very hard because there's many ways to lose the game, only one way to win it. We talked about having all the ravens out. You can't have it. You don't have any cards left in the draw deck. The Atman runs out of cards. Many ways to lose the game, but only one to win. Very tough game, but very interesting. Wow, there is the Ravens of Thri Sahashri, and I've got to say, this game really blew my mind. I love this game. Now, let's get the objectivity out of the way. I typically like co-op games a lot. I like puzzly games, and I really seem to like games and mechanisms where you can't talk. Like Mysterium and Deception Murder in Hong Kong and Hanabi and Beyond Baker Street, all those sort of things. And that's a piece of this game, but it's not everything. This game, in a simple little card game, has so much going on. It has so many foreign and new and fresh ideas that really impress me. I enjoy this game, and every time I play it, I like it more and more because, gosh, there's so much to talk about here. The theme itself is just odd and unique, and I like it because you try to teach this game to somebody, and they're going, okay. And every time you give them something new, they're like, oh, that's weird, but okay, cool. And I think it's fresh and unique, and I got to give them thumbs up for that. The mechanisms take a few games to really understand and get through, and then it's down to the point of the strategy, which I really like. I like how that Feth is like pressing your luck, but then trying to give a good amount of cards and colors, but at the same time, you're trying to get that relived memory of the 7 of the same color, because that's really, you need to get those or else you're never going to win the game. You're trying to be avoiding ravens. But Ren, and the first couple times someone plays Ren, they might say, wow, it looks like it's much more interesting on your side because all I do is pick one card. Yes, you do only pick one card, but I would even argue that Ren has even a more important job to make. They decide which one to take. They decide which one not to take, which might even mean more than the one they took. They decide when things are being split, the Atman's being split, which one goes away. And the things that they don't do can tell you even more than the things that they do. And there's so much depth here. And as you get better and you play with the same person over and over, I think this game is going to live up to it long term. So I really liked it. It's hard. It's a very hard game. After 3 games, I did win it once, and then I haven't won the second level. Opening up those envelopes, it felt like a little mini legacy game where there's some new rules and stuff. Excellent job. The cards are nice and big. They're like that big Dixit-sized cards. I looked at the older version of this, and I definitely like the graphic design of this much better. It's easier to see. And I like how they made it a little bit easier. It's a hard game, but a little bit easier than the first version, but they step you into those rules after you complete the game successfully. It's hard, it's fun, it's different. I don't know what else to say. This game's amazing. If you like two-player co-op where you can't communicate and you're playing off each other, this is a no-brainer. If you don't like those types of games, you're probably not going to like this one. But it's excellent, and it's small and portable as well, and it's so refreshingly different. And I'm keeping in my gaming library because of all those reasons. So let's induct this thing properly with a saxophone serenade.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for backing me on Kickstarter and making this season become a reality. I'd like to especially thank those here that have backed me at the credit level. Now, these video reviews are also available by audio on our podcast. It's the intros and the final thoughts on GameBoyGeek.com. Click podcast.